Hey Hoopheads, Brad here with another breakdown, and today I want to talk about the Raptors' 107-95 win over the Sixers. The Sixers were without Embiid this game, and Josh Richardson would go down early with a hamstring injury, so obviously that made things easier on the Raptors, but still there's a lot of talent on this Sixers team and you gotta put them away. The Raptors defense started out a little shaky, giving up 35 points in the first quarter, but over the course of the next three quarters they only gave up 60 on 30.5% shooting. Let's get into it. On this play, Fred forces a pass and turns it over, but he does a great job of sprinting back on defense. He cuts off the passing lane. Gasol gets back as well to shut down Tobias Harris. And then as Harris is looking for a pass, Siakam is right in the passing lane. He tries to throw the pass where Siakam can't get it, but Matisse Thybulle isn't ready for it, and that's going to go out of bounds. That's a turnover. And now after the missed three, OG Anunoby gets back on defense, and as Simmons tries to throw the pass over the top, OG gets up like a cornerback, one-handed interception. Unbelievable control to come down with it, stay in bounds, and get the ball to his teammate. And I mentioned the Raptors defense was a bit porous in the first quarter. Here, as Horford comes up to set the screen, Ben Simmons is going to see the gap here between Gasol and OG, and they really need to close that down because he splits it, and once something like that happens, your defense is pretty much cooked. Simmons kicks it to the wing a couple passes, and that's going to be an open three for Shake Milton. On this play, as Al Horford slips the screen, Ben Simmons is going to attack, get to the free throw line. He kicks it out to Horford, and now there are two ways this can go. Either OG changes direction and gets out on Horford while Kyle Lowry stays home, or Lowry closes out to Horford and then OG rotates down to Lowry's man. But what ends up actually happening is Lowry and OG both close out to Horford. This leaves Korkmaz wide open in the corner for three, and he's going to drain it. Here, Korkmaz is going to cut up and get the ball, and then as he comes off the Horford screen, Gasol switches onto him. Good containment and good work by Fred to get to the corner on the far side. And as the ball's over there, check out OG. He and Gasol should be switching right now so that OG's back on Korkmaz and Gasol's back on Horford. They don't do any sort of communicating about this, and then Korkmaz cuts up to the top and nobody goes with him. He's going to get a wide open three, and it's pretty rare to see a miscommunication like that from the Raptors, especially when Gasol's on the floor. And this is something I wish the Raps would pay a little more attention to. As Simmons pushes the ball in transition, Lowry's going to come up behind Simmons and try to poke the ball away, and that's okay. But the floor balance is kind of off here. See how many people are on the left wing for the Sixers. Meanwhile, the Raptors have more guys stacked on the right side, including Norm Powell, who you can't see in the frame. And I think if Lowry would sprint to the left wing instead, he would have been able to cut off this Tobias Harris three. But that's also one of those things that's easy to see in footage and not necessarily easy to see in the moment. Here, another transition possession. The Raptors do a really nice job of getting back, but Serge Ibaka right here is not in a position to affect the play defensively. He should be staying out closer to the top. Instead, he goes right under the basket, and this is going to leave another wide open three at the top of the arc. And if you have all five guys back in transition like this, there's no excuse for giving up that wide open of a three. The Raptors started to pick up their D towards the end of the first. Here you can see Lowry pressuring up on Mike Scott. Then as Shake Milton blows by Serge, Gasol has to step up to help. So Norm rotates over to Gasol's man, and Siakam's going to rotate over to Norm's man. Norm switches back onto Neto, who gets a step on him eventually, but then Serge Ibaka steps up with the shot contest on the floater. And those are some pretty solid rotations from the Raptors there. On this play, Shake Milton's going to get the ball at the top, and he attacks to the right, and Rondae switches out on him and does a nice job of staying in the play so he can pressure this pass. The pass is a little off, Ennis can't quite handle it, and that's going to be a steal for Serge Ibaka. Here, Fred's pressuring Neto, and Neto gets a half step on him, but Fred's really good at moving his feet and staying on a guy's hip. As he gets into the lane, Fred's able to get the strip, and that's going to go out of bounds. And on this play, Shake Milton guarded by Norm. He's going to run off three screens. And as he moves to the elbow, check out Gasol watching, because as Norvel Pelle sets his screen, Gasol is going to step to his left to give Norm an alleyway to get to his man. And because of that, Norm is able to give a really good shot contest here. And that's just next level stuff from Marc Gasol. And now the Raptors putting a ton of pressure on the perimeter. The Sixers work it to Tobias Harris, who tries to attack, but Serge and Rondae able to shut it down really well. Neto attacks and kicks it to Mike Scott, who gives a nice spin move to Terrence Davis, but can't do anything with the floater. That's not a terrible shot to give up, but unfortunately the Sixers track down the offensive board. The Sixers will pull it out, kick it up to the top, and then work it around to Tobias Harris on the left wing this time. And as he goes toward the baseline, the Raptors are going to make a crucial mistake. As Pelle cuts here, Terrence Davis is going to do a pretty good job of staying in front of him, plus Rondae's under the basket to help. But for some reason, Norm is still helping on him as well. That's going to give a wide open shot, and the Raptors are just lucky that the Sixers missed that one. And on this play, Fred and Rondae are going to switch this initial action. The Sixers get it to Tobias Harris with Fred on him. He wants to go at him. But as he goes to the baseline, Serge is going to stunt towards him. And then as soon as he picks up his dribble, Serge retreats back to the basket. Great work to deter the drive. The ball goes back out to the top, and then Rondae does a really nice job of containing Neto and contesting the shot, and that's about all you can ask for from your D. Here Rondae pressuring up on Ben Simmons. He and Norm are going to switch this first action. Then the Sixers are going to get it to Horford in the post, and as Terrence Davis's man cuts through, he's going to come over for the double team. A lot of pressure on Horford. That's a tough spot to pass out of. The Raptors are really active here too. Horford kicks it to the far side, and Fred VanVleet is already there on the catch. Tobias Harris puts up a heavily contested shot. And now Ben Simmons is going to try to attack and kick it out to Tobias Harris. Fred cuts off the drive to the right, and then as Tobias Harris goes behind the back to the left, Siakam comes over to help. That forces the pass to Simmons. Simmons with a nice ball fake to get Serge out of the way, but Siakam is still there on the backside for the huge block. Great help defense there from Siakam, not once but twice. This isn't a very complex play at all. Simmons is just going to drive and then kick it to Korkmaz, who cuts up and shoots a three. But check out how much Lowry is invading the space of Korkmaz compared to the first quarter. And having a guy on your hip when you're shooting like that really makes a difference. Now the Raptors are in a zone here. Check out the pressure from Fred on Thibault. The ball goes over to Simmons, and as Korkmaz cuts through, you can see OG and Lowry communicating about it. There's going to be a give and go, and then as Simmons attacks, OG is in great position to take this charge right in the numbers. And that's great anticipation on the back line of the defense. Here, OG and Pascal are going to switch this initial action, and then Simmons is going to give it to Harris, and everybody else is going to clear out to open up this right side drive. Check out Siakam playing free safety in the middle of the court, and as Harris drives, OG does a great job of moving his feet and forcing him to turn back towards the middle. Then Siakam with the help defense makes himself huge. That makes that pass over the top difficult, and because the pass to Thibault is off, he has to throw a pass while he's falling out of bounds. It's off too. Fred's able to collect it, and he's going to get credit for the steal, but really it's OG and Siakam cutting off that initial drive that forces that turnover. Now the Raptors are in a zone, and the Sixers are going to swing it to the weak side, and as Fred and OG both close out to the same guy, you can see Gasol barking orders on the back line, and that communication is important because it lets OG go over to Simmons in time for Lowry to get out on Al Horford. Then as Simmons starts to attack, Gasol comes over with the help, hands up, nice and big, nice and active. He knows Simmons is looking to pass always, and he's able to deflect it and force the turnover. Great possession by Gasol. And now Simmons pushing in transition. Lowry is the last man back, and you can probably guess where this is going. Lowry able to draw the charge, putting his body on the line to get the W. And on this play off the chaotic screening action, the Raptors have to do a little bit of switching and then wind up with Fred on Horford and Gasol on Korkmaz. And as Korkmaz sizes up Gasol, you can see Lowry moving OG so that he's on the side closer to the basket. And not 2 seconds later, Korkmaz attacks Gasol, and OG is there for the help and the block. Lowry able to strip Horford on the recovery, and that's a great defensive possession. And now the Raptors are playing their big lineup, and as Horford tries to attack Gasol, check out where Serge is on this side of the block. And by the time Horford gets to the basket, Serge has already rotated over to the other side, up, nice and vertical, great help defense. And now Rondae is guarding Ben Simmons, and just a nice bit of containment here as he gets over the Korkmaz screen. Then as Korkmaz comes up to set another screen, Ben Simmons tries to attack again. Now Simmons actually uses the screen. Fred switches onto him, kick out to Harris. Terrence Davis is there with the shot contest. Raptors making life tough for the Sixers. And now nice job by Norman Powell to shut down the baseline drive. Then Neto's going to pull it back out, and as Rondae gets switched onto him, I think Rondae gets a little bit too close here. You don't need to be pressuring Neto this far from the basket. That forces Terrence Davis in a help position. He should probably be a step lower too. And then as the ball goes to Korkmaz, Terrence Davis runs at where he is instead of trying to cut him off at all, and plus he compounds his mistake by pushing him in the back. And that's particularly dumb because Serge was there to help with the shot contest too, and you just don't want to be making those kind of mistakes. And now the Sixers are going to work it to Mike Scott in the post, and as he faces up, Korkmaz is going to come down and then curl around a Norvel Pelle screen. Serge steps up to contain him on the catch, gets himself big, lets Norm get back in a position, then retreats back to Pelle. And then Korkmaz is going to kick to Milton, and as he does, Norm just relaxes a little bit. And as he does, Korkmaz makes a cut to the ball, and Norm just isn't in position to cut him off now. Now he just has to run him off the line. Impressive shot to drain the 20-foot floater, but still. And here the Sixers are going to work it to Tobias Harris with Fred on him. You see Serge come over with the double team. Rondae probably overhelping on Pelle here, could be a step higher, but luckily Norm is able to get a hand on the pass to the outside. The ball goes to Milton with Terrence Davis on him, and Milton tries to go at him, but great work by Davis to stay with him step for step, gets a hand up on the turnaround. Nice defensive effort. And here the Raptors able to shut down this initial action on the left wing. As the pass goes to Pelle, he's going to put the ball on the floor, and Serge pressures right up on him. He's able to jar the ball loose. Fred gets a hand on it too. Bit of a scramble. Terrence Davis deflects the pass out of bounds. The Raps turning up the pressure. And then off the ensuing inbound with the shot clock running out, Powell does a nice job of contesting the Harris fadeaway. And now as Pell tries to call for the pass at the free throw line, check out the way Serge moves his right foot in front of Pell's body. Great positioning, which lets him intercept this pass. He gives it to Ronde, who gives it right back to him. Serge with the monster finish and one courtesy of Matisse Thybulle. And you love to see Serge getting it done at both ends of the floor like that. That's huge for the Raptors. And now Pascal on Ben Simmons with just great hands to strip him on the inside. And then as Harris tries to go at Van Vliet in the post again, Siakam comes over with the help this time, forces the pass. Thybulle's going to get a step on Norm, but then Norm with the great hands to poke it loose. Simmons tries to save it, but it goes right to Norm, and Harris fouls him. That's going to be free throws, and that helped the Raptors build their lead up in the fourth quarter. And now the Raptors are trying to keep Serge along the baseline so that he's in good help position, so Fred goes up on Horford here. Smart move by the Sixers to recognize what's happening. Korkmaz pulls it out, but then as Horford goes into the post against Fred, Siakam is going to switch off ball with him. That proves to be a lot less of a mismatch as Siakam gets right into him and the Sixers wind up with a Horford step back from the baseline. They'll live with that. Here the Raptors are going to switch this initial action. Serge Ibaka on Tobias Harris, nice and low in his stance, getting a hand up in case he shoots. And as Harris goes at Serge, great recognition by Norman Powell and Fred VanVleet as this pass is in the air. Fred's already on his way to Horford. Norm's already on his way out to Korkmaz. Norm's closeout isn't perfect, could have been a little more under control, but he has Serge's help on the backside. Korkmaz misses the floater this time. And as the Raptors track down the rebound, Siakam's going to push it here. He attacks a little bit. That lets him drop it off to Fred. He hits one of his 6 threes that he had in this game to push the lead up to 10 with 2 minutes left. And now the very next trip down the court, Matisse is going to fake like he's going to run right off this screen. He cuts back left, tries to backdoor Serge, but Serge is 100% ready for it. Doesn't go for the pump fake, gets a huge block on him. The Raptors recover it, and then at the other end of the floor, Fred VanVleet with the step back 3, back-to-back jacks to seal the deal. That's going to be a W for the Raptors. They go to 30-14 with a pretty soft schedule coming up, so hopefully they can get that 2 seed. Interesting note in this game, the Raptors only had 6 players who scored, but all of them scored over 16 points. I can't imagine that happens too often. And the Raptors will face the Knicks on Friday, where hopefully they can keep this win streak going. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button and let me know what you thought of the Raptors defense in the comments.